Is that a breakup? I think we have a situation right here. On the Feeling Station.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
What's good?
You are live on the Feeling Station. Please do not say your name.
I will not.
Now, what normally happens is that I would have a list of names for people to pick from. And then that would be the name that you're going to have for this episode. And I would have some... Wow, who's that lovely baby singing in the back?
You will not leave me alone. Go away. Okay, I'll send him away.
Self-isolating with mom, yeah?
Yep.
So, yeah, in the normal podcast routine is for me to pick a name, and that's the name that I'm going to call you by for the entire episode. And then you're supposed to pick a name as well, and that's going to be the name of the guy that you were involved with. But because this is happening so differently because of this whole lockdown situation, you have the opportunity of picking a name for the guy that you're going to be talking about. So what would you like his name to be?
Let's give him the name Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, biblical name. Are you sure you want to associate the Bible with what you're going to talk about?
You know what? Joseph wasn't unreliable in the Bible, so let's do that.
I like the sound of that. Okay, well, as you know, The Feeling Station is a podcast that touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give lessons that they learn from their experiences. And what I'm really hoping is that, one, they find the stories entertaining, but most importantly, meaningful given everything we're going to talk about. So one of the key things I need to find out from you from the onset is, of the story you're going to talk about today, what would you like people to learn?
I guess the main takeaway from this whole relationship was always ask the right questions from the jump.
Okay. So make sure you get the right questions asked right from the onset.
Right from the onset. Don't think, I'll ask this 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Because 3 months from now, you'll be invested.
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course. Okay, brilliant. That sounds good to me. Now, I have to tell the audience that this whole podcast was actually inspired by you. So this is not only the first lockdown episode, but I feel privileged to have you behind the phone telling your story because you are such a good storyteller. And I remember when you told your first breakup story on a video somewhere, I was like, whoa, this is insane. So thank you. This whole thing is all because of you. All due credit to you. You are a superstar. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, it's time women come out, men too. Everybody should come out and explain their breakup stories just so other people can learn.
Yeah. So what did you learn from, right, in fact, let's take it right to the beginning. How did you and Joseph meet? Where does your story begin?
Yes, this is a great beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I was walking home. I had just gotten off the bus, and I was walking home from work. I was tired, had a long shift. And this car, and this, we're in the first world, so you don't expect this kind of behavior. It's from Africa where people stop and, roll down their windows.
Yeah.
So I was walking, and this car, pulls over and tinted windows, and these two guys are sitting in this car. One of them I know, not very well, but I know him.
Yeah.
And the other one I don't know at all.
Yeah.
So the one who's driving is the one I don't know at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the passenger rolls down his window and he says, "Oh, hey, girl, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Totally fine. How are you?" So random that you're trying to talk to me. We don't ever speak.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, my friend here noticed you and wanted to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." They're like, "Would you like a ride home?" I was tired, so I was like, "Sure, why not?"
I mean, weren't you a little scared?
They drive me home.
But weren't you a little scared? Is it because you knew one of the guys, or?
I knew one of the guys, so I felt like there was nothing to be scared of. I knew of him. We were not friends, but I knew of him.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like, "Let's take you home." I was like, "That sounds good." we get to my house. They drop me off. We don't have much conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get in my house, this next guy, the guy I know, sends me a text. I didn't even know he had my number.
Jeez.
And he sends me a text and he's like, so my friend Joseph really likes you. And we're having a chill session at his house tonight and he wanted to invite you.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, I really have nothing to do. It's a Saturday night. I just finished work. Why not? Let me go get some free alcohol. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Give me like 30 minutes and I'll be ready. I'll just shower and stuff. I have no idea that they've never left. Like they've been parked outside my house this whole time.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, let me shower. So I shower. I take my time.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, my phone rings, literally 30 minutes later. And they're like, hey, we're outside. And I was like, okay, yeah. I had been taking my time, so I didn't expect them that quickly.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, give me a few more minutes. Finally, I go out, and I feel like they haven't moved at all because it was like winter, so the car was cold.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, you guys did you go? They're like, no, we were waiting for you. I was like, okay, this is stalkerish behavior, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of romantic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we head over to this guy's house, and there are people there, so it's not like they were lying about that. There's probably like 25 people in that house.
That's a decent number.
I don't really know anyone there, so I hung out with the one dude I thought I knew, like the one I knew prior.
Okay.
And then Joseph was like, no, let me talk to her. So the living room was really, really loud. So Joseph asked me to go to a spare bedroom to talk.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, I guess so. Don't try anything, though. So we go to the spare bedroom, and we're talking, and it's just like immediately our conversation was just so deep. Well, that's what I thought. We were talking about religion. We were talking about, university education, careers, just like things that most people don't talk about on the first jump.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this guy is intelligent. He's smart. Like we're having really smart conversations. And I was just into it. Next thing I know, it's like 2:00 in the morning, and we've been sitting there for hours talking while there's other people. So finally, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I should go home because I was now getting a bit drunk. And I'm attracted to the brain. So the minute I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting drunk. I'm not trying to sleep with this guy today.
Yeah.
So I was like, please take me home. And he's like, sure. He takes me home. And he drops me off and he sends me a text as soon as he gets home. And he's like, hey, do you think you would want to join me in church tomorrow? Because you did say you go to church.
Yeah.
And I would like to invite you to my church service.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Why not? And he's like, yeah, we'll go for brunch after. Let's make it a date. I'm like, totally fine.
I'm guessing this guy is very different to the regular guy out there because it's not often that somebody invites people to church.
I know. That's my point. You're like, oh my gosh, I found the one.
Yeah.
The one guy who actually has all the things that a woman has been looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says to me, let's go to church the next day. Totally fine. Next morning, I wake up, I shower, get ready. He is outside waiting before I'm even done. We go to church together. In church, he's like holding my hand.
Oh, wow. And this is on day
just
2,
like
yeah?
Super sweet.
This is day 2.
This is day 2.
This guy's not messing about, is he?
No. So after church, we go for brunch. And at the brunch date, he basically asks me to be his girlfriend. He's like, I really like you. I know we don't know each other very well, but I feel like that conversation we had last night makes me believe that you are the type of woman I'm looking for. And I really just want to hold it down with you. I don't want you to see other people. I don't want to see other people. So, yeah. Do you think you could be my girlfriend?
Talk about going from 0 to 100 real quick.
Real quick.
Jeez,
But also, as a female, we're so tired of men constantly leading us on and not knowing what we are that I was so excited by this, like, sudden, like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So I was like, why not? Yeah, let's go ahead and try it out.
I mean, you had nothing to lose, right?
I had nothing to lose. I didn't have anyone at the time. You know, single girl. So I agreed to be his girlfriend. He takes me home. And, of course, we made out a little bit. And then he went to his house, and I stayed at my house. Let's just fast forward a couple of weeks. We're spending a lot of time together. He used to pick me up, take me to school because I was in my final year of university. So he would pick me up in the morning, take me to school. Then he goes to work.
Yeah.
Then he would visit me during his lunch break. Like, bring me something to eat. Yeah, like, super great.
Jeez, this guy's doing the most.
And then, like, yeah, doing the most. Like, I fell in love immediately.
Yeah.
So he would visit me at lunch. Then after school, I used to wait for him. He would ask me to wait for him because my day would finish at like 4, but he would finish work at 6. So he would be like, just wait for me and I'll pick you up.
Yeah.
Then he would come pick me up after school. We would go to his house. He would cook for me. How men cook for their women.
Wow.
So he was making me food. He would rub my feet. He would, like, leave me alone to study. Like, he was just perfect.
At some point, didn't this start feeling like it was too good to be true? Because this is almost like a fantasy.
Of course. In my head, I was like, wow, this is just so perfect. Like, this guy is so great.
Yeah.
I don't see any red flags yet. He pays attention to me. He understands that I'm in my final year and I have to study. He lets me commit to that. I was like so overwhelmed by all the great things that I don't think I paid attention to any of the red flags.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I want to know.
So now it's like...
Is it too early to ask what some of those red flags were, or you're coming to those?
Oh, I'm coming to that now.
Okay, cool.
So it's been maybe 6 weeks. We've been dating for about a month and a little bit. One day, it's a Saturday, he picks me up from work, and we go to his house, and, you know, we've just had some adult time, you know what I'm talking about? And then we're laying in bed, and he professes his love for me. He's like, oh, my God, I love you, and I hope you love me too. And, I have to emphasize he was Nigerian. I have to say this.
Okay, why is that important to emphasize?
Because Nigerian men are always up to no good.
Okay, I'm not sure what the Nigerians listening to this are going to have to say about that.
So he tells me he loves me. He tells me no pressure. I don't expect you to say it back to me immediately. I was like, no, I love you. I love you too.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, oh my God, that's perfect. And we're just like sitting there in bliss of love and everything.
Wow.
Then he says to me, you know, I want to call my brother. I want to introduce you to my brother who's in Nigeria. He calls his brother. I talk to the brother. It's just all perfect. Then he goes to shower, and he leaves me with his phone because I was talking to his brother. So he goes to shower, and he's in there for a little bit. Then his phone rings.
Yeah.
And it says, wifey.
Oh, my God.
So I'm like, wifey? Wifey's sitting right here.
Oh,
I ain't calling him.
Gosh. Okay.
So now I'm like, wait, hold up. Maybe it's an ex-girlfriend that he forgot to change the phone number for.
Yeah.
Like to change what she's called in his phone.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, girl, calm down. You're always crazy. So just take it 2 steps back and calm down.
Yeah.
Ask him when he comes out of the bathroom. So he comes out the bathroom, and I'm like sitting at the edge of the bed, and I'm telling myself to be nice and calm about this. And I'm like, okay, your phone rang while you were in the shower. And it said wifey was calling. Is that like an ex or something? Do you want to know what he said next?
What did he say?
He said, "Oh, yes, that's my wife."
Oh, what? What?
He straight up said, "Yes, that's my wife."
Do you know, I just had a visual here. You know, I just see him getting on as if it's nothing. Is that the kind of expression he had on his face? That, oh, yeah, it's my wife,
Yeah,
you know?
he literally told me like it was nothing. Like it was some sort of like, oh, like how you tell someone, "Oh, yes, the TV has 40 channels."
Yeah.
Like some random information you forgot to tell me.
He said it as a matter of fact. You know, yeah, it's my wife.
Yeah,
oh,
he was like, "Yeah,
God.
that's my wife."
What kind of reaction were
I'm
you
like,
expecting in the first place?
What reaction did I have?
No, what reaction did you expect when you told him that's a wife he called?
Well, I expected him to, like what I thought. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's an ex-girlfriend. I forgot to change her title. Or for him to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm cheating on you with some girl and this is crap."
Gee, so what was your reaction to the matter-of-fact statement?
So when he says it's my wife, I'm like, okay, wife as in girlfriend or wife as in fiance? He's like, no, wife as in I married her.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, where is she? I've been dating you for over a month.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, she lives in another country.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, and why have I never, like I spend literally every other day with you. Why have I never seen you talk to her on the phone or anything?
And why haven't you ever brought her up?
Yeah, he says, well, the reason why why you haven't noticed that I talked to her is because she knows her place.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. That's a big statement.
Yeah, he's like, she knows her place. She knows when we're not together, she shouldn't bother me unless it's like important.
Whoa. That's a huge red flag right there. That's a huge red flag right there.
Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, okay, sir, this is crazy. I can't believe that you're telling me you have a wife so nonchalant like that. Like, you don't even care that it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And he says, no, because I love you and you just told me you love me.
Oh.
And I've just introduced you to my brother. So you and I are good. So I'm like, okay, so what am I then? Like, if you have a wife, then what are your intentions with me?
Yeah.
He's like, no, you are my girl here.
Wow.
She is my wife there.
This guy, oh my gosh, this guy oozes confidence, doesn't he?
Oh my gosh, yes. He was crazy.
Okay, so when he said this to you, what did you feel? What went through your head?
Well, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, so am I an idiot for like having dated someone for over a month and not like actually seeing any of these signs?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, should I leave? Do I fight with him? Like, what would a normal female do in this circumstance?
Yeah.
So I just like get up, get dressed, pack up my stuff. And I'm like, okay, time for me to head out. So I head out and he doesn't chase after me or anything. He just leaves me to go.
Wow.
And then I get home and I'm obviously irate. I'm very pissed off.
Yeah.
I sent him this long message like a female would do. And I'm like, don't ever call me again. Don't ever look for me. I can't believe you did this to me. And all he does is sends me a message back. And he's like, I'm here when you're ready to talk.
Oh, wow. Okay. Here's that confidence I was talking about earlier on. This guy knows what he's about. And I think he knows that he has a way with women. And as far as he's concerned, he feels he's got you wrapped around his finger. Did he have you wrapped around his finger?
I think he knew he did because I spent so much of my free time with him in those few weeks we were together. Like, I spent so much of my free time. I basically stopped seeing my friends. He was my life.
Wow.
So he's like, yeah, you know where I am if you're ready to talk.
Jeez.
I blocked him for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because this happened on a Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I don't hear from him. I don't look for him. And then on a Wednesday, I come home from school and he's like parked in front of my house. And he's got flowers. He's bought me like some dress.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, get dressed. We're going out to eat.
Wow.
So I'm like, what the hell? Are you insane? Like, you literally are married.
Yeah.
And he's like, why are you worried about someone that doesn't impact our relationship?
Well, as far as you're concerned, it doesn't. But, you know, for you, yes, it does.
Exactly. So I'm like, are you crazy?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, I'm not crazy. Why don't you go get dressed in this beautiful dress I bought you? I'll take you out to dinner. We talk like adults. And we discuss what you want, which is the future you want with me. So I'll explain what I plan to do with you.
So at this point, he's telling you what you want with your life.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, you want a future with me. So
wow, this guy's a legend.
Yeah. So me and my dumbass stroll upstairs, put on the dress, and go with him to dinner.
Yeah.
And at dinner, he says, you know, like, I'm planning to move to this country where his wife was in the next 6 months. So for the next 6 months, you and I are going to focus on each other.
Wow.
Then when I leave to join my wife, we're done.
Jeez. Right. That has all the makings of somebody that's using you, period.
Period. That's all it is. But he claimed he loved me so much and he had never met someone like me. And if he had met me prior to meeting his wife, he would have definitely chosen me.
Yeah.
But his wife was like, you know, they had a kid together. Oh, he revealed that day. He's like, oh, we have a son together.
Oh, wow. I mean, I got a question for you, though. So he's revealed to you that he's got a child and that he's married. And then he says to you, we're going for dinner. Why did you agree to go for dinner?
Because I thought he would tell me something like he was going to leave his wife for me.
Wow. Okay.
I had the typical denial phase going on of, no, I can't be that dumb.
Yeah.
So I thought he was going to tell me something great.
Wow. So, yeah, he tells you that, you know, I'm moving to this country and then after that we're going to be done. What went through your mind at that point?
I was like, do I walk out and never see this man again? Or do I enjoy the next 6 months of my life with him?
Wow. What did you go for?
I chose crazy enough. I chose the 6 months.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say.
I know, it's crazy. So I dated this man for another 6 months, knowing he was married. And every time his phone rang and his wife called, I would sit there quietly
and listen to them talk.
It was just a circus.
Jeez, that I really don't know what to say about that because you literally put yourself in the lion's den.
I did. And then instead of running out or fighting the lion, I tamed myself and sat there.
Wow. You know, here, you know what I'm just thinking now? It's funny that you give Joseph as the example because as far as I remember from the Bible, Joseph actually ran away when I think the king's wife wanted to bed him. He absolutely ran away from that situation. But this Joseph, in your situation, you dug yourself deeper into that situation.
I did dig myself into a situation.
I guess what's important for me to ask now is, were those 6 months worth it with him or not?
Yeah. So, I mean, the 6 months were good.
Yeah.
He was perfect in those 6 months, besides the fact that I had to sit quietly when his wife would call.
Yeah. Were you ever tempted to just shout out and say something in the middle of that conversation?
There was times I wanted to start some drama, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I just never did. And I think it was because of how when she didn't call or when we weren't talking about her, we were so good.
Okay.
And I know it sounds crazy. And there's probably people out there listening who are like, you are stupid.
Yeah.
But it was my clown face, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this thing then came to an end when he left to go and join his wife in whatever country she was in.
No, it didn't. This crazy man kept looking for me when he was with his wife.
After he had left?
After he left, he would call me. He would be texting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of says something. Well, maybe he was more into you than he claimed he was.
I think in the end he did fall harder than he expected to.
Yeah.
So that led to all that drama.
So how did you guys stop talking in the end?
I had to move on to a new relationship.
Wow.
And then I finally had to block him on all platforms. Everything. Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, everything.
Wow. And that's
how I finally let go of that guy.
Bloody hell. If you were to see him today, what's the first thing you would say to him?
He's an asshole. For sure.
Yeah. He's an asshole, but you were okay to be around the asshole.
I was okay then. And you know what? I always think about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what made me stick around? Like, what actually made me think this was something that I deserved?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because he was so sweet in the beginning.
Yeah.
That I believed, and I'm pretty sure this is how all side chicks feel.
Yeah.
That if he just spent more time with me,
he'll start thinking differently.
Fall in love with me to the extent that he would leave her for me.
So that thought definitely went through your mind.
Yeah, that's how I felt at the time. But once he bought the ticket to go, I knew that
that's it.
I needed to finally let him go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man. Now I totally get what you said at the beginning of this episode when you spoke about your lesson that always ask the right questions from the get-go. For you...
Exactly.
For you, what would that question have been from the onset?
Are you married?
Okay.
If you're not married, are you in a relationship?
Yep.
If you're not in a relationship... Does anyone think she's in a relationship with you?
That's an interesting question. Wow, that's an interesting question. I've never heard that being said that way, but it's true. You know, as men, I think sometimes we might have...
Those are my questions in life now.
Yeah, I think as men, sometimes we mistakenly, in quotes, make someone feel like they're in a relationship with us.
Exactly.
You know, so...
Men do that all the time.
So that's a really, really important question to ask. So,
and then we can proceed to ask other questions about life goals and all that.
So for you, did that mean that every relationship you got into after that was one of your first questions?
Definitely one of my first questions.
Okay. Well, you sound like you're in a really happy space now. You managed to get over that that bump. You learned your lesson that it's important for you to ask questions right from the onset.
Prince Charming.
Yeah. And for all of those who are listening to this particular first lockdown episode, remember that if you are getting into a relationship, ask the right questions from the onset, because those could save you a whole heap of disappointment and trouble down the line. You've been listening to the Feeling Station podcast, and this is Tinto signing off. Peace.
Thank you.
Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're feeling.
Let me
talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.
Kujidziru amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.